I know, and I missed that.
Okay, start tonight's meeting with the flag salute.
I said.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for coming. We'll do a roll call.
Mrs. Hoover? Here. Dr. Krug?
Here.
Just one second. Mrs. Krug? Here. Mrs. Lee? Here. Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Mr. Basil?
Here.
Mr. Westrick?
Here.
Ms. Sinchoff? Here.
Okay, we'll go into guests and patrons. Now remember, you're going to state your name and your address, and you get a maximum of 5 minutes, okay? So the first one looks like Rhea Pounds. Did I say that right? Okay, thank you.
My name is Rhea Pounds. I live at 3309 McCombie Avenue in Northern Cambria. I have 3 children currently attending Northern Cambria schools, 2 at the high school and 1 at the elementary school. I'm a graduate of Northern Cambria High School, and both of my parents are as well. I'm currently serving as the Band Boosters president, and I frequently play alongside the kids as a musician. Needless to say, I am well invested in this school district. I consider the students to be my kids. I care only about what's best for them. I want to tell you about my oldest son. He's a junior this year. He was diagnosed with ADHD and autism when he was out in elementary school. I know that doesn't matter much to you because you don't believe that these are valid diagnoses. My son struggled socially and academically throughout elementary school and occasionally required discipline. He's now a model student. He's intelligent and kind and compassionate. He gets straight A's. He represents our school as one of the many kids who placed in the top 3 at the recent TSA regional competition and will represent Northern Cambria at the state level. He has so much school spirit that he's willing to put himself inside that claustrophobic nightmare of a mascot costume. Without teachers and staff such as Dr. Pasonic, he would have never gotten this far. If it were up to people like you, he would have been left behind. He's very disturbed at the recent decisions made by our school board, and the fact that he has recognized a social disruption and taken the time to research on his own and taken a stance on this issue is a testament to the amazing people who have poured into him over the years, the same people you're targeting in your path of destruction. I want you to know how badly your decisions are affecting our community. I want you to know that most of us care more about what is best for our children than a bit of a tax increase. We care more about what is best for our children than revenge or spite. I don't believe that you have ever publicly given a valid reason for Dr. Fasonic's termination. It may be too late to restore her to her rightful position, but the community needs you to know that we do not support the full-time hiring of Mr. Alan Johnson. The day after the school board took action to sever its ties with Dr. Fasonic and replace her with Mr. Johnson, both of my teenagers came home upset. One of them made a list of reasons this decision was upsetting. I won't share it in its entirety, but I do want to share one of the points that was made that stood out to me. It simply said, "Is school safe?" As a mother, my heart is broken. We have chosen to raise our children in this small community where we are confident that they will be kept safe from the dangers of the outside world. We have chosen to send them to school at a place where they will feel safe. Members of the school board, our kids don't feel safe, and that should bother you. In the next few months, as you go about about the task of finding a new replacement superintendent, please keep our kids in mind. Please choose someone who has our kids' best interest at heart. Please choose someone who will care for our teachers and staff so that they can continue to give their best to our children. These kids are our future, and we need to invest in them. I pray that God softens your hearts and you choose to do what's right going forward. In conclusion, is my plea to Northern Cambria community to get out there and vote. Primary election in May is May 20th. It's imperative that we all vote to get people on the ballot who will serve our school district well. On November 4th, we need to get back out there and vote for candidates who have our children's best interest at heart. We need to take our school back, and the only way we can do it is to let our voices be heard. To those currently serving on our school board who are fighting for our kids, we see you. Thank you for doing what's right, even though you are grossly outnumbered. Thank you for your persistence and passion for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bill Lancy?
Hi, I'm Bill Lancy. I'm from Northern Cambria Borough. I'm the president of the Library Association. I know Reverend Marty is usually here to speak to you. She had a previous commitment tonight. So basically, I know it's on the agenda. We had asked for a $4,000 donation to the public library. Also wanted to thank you for your past support and hope you'll be able to do that again tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, Diane Waxmonski?
Okay, my name is Diane Waxmonski. I live at 622 Municipal Road, Northern Cambria. I'm here to talk just real quickly about a couple things that have disturbed me. The whole thing with trying to get a therapy dog was on national news this week already, about if you have a dog and a child's reading to a dog, their reading scores go up. That was on NBC. You know, we went down that road so far and so long, you know, I just have gotten discouraged completely. Something so simple as getting a therapy dog for our students in our school, because we are not a business. This is not a business. Though I believe in fiscal responsibility greatly, this is not a business. Sometimes human interaction and human needs have to come above the dollar. The next thing I had a question about was the two maintenance positions that were posted and advertised outside of the collective bargaining of the non-professionals. I hate to call them that, support staff. As a daughter of a coal miner, a wife of a steel worker, and a 35-year member of PSCA, union secretary for 32 years, and now member of PSCA-R, I am really wondering and asking for an explanation of why those two positions are outside of the bargaining unit. If it's to weaken the bargaining unit because they're going into negotiations next year, or whatever the reason is, it is very disturbing. And the third thing I'd like to say, and then I'll sit down, is on, I think it was January 7th. Anyway, I said that I would like to be considered for the opening at that time on the school board for the resignation of Mara Krumenacher and any future ones. I think I would bring a lot to the table, and I would like to put my name in for the replacement of the school board position that is open tonight. I thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Christine Phillips.
Hi, my name is Christine Phillips. I live at 650 Carpinello Road in Hastings, and I'm also here. I've emailed the board expressing my interest in the open position on the school board. I'm here as a parent of a middle schooler and a high schooler, passionate about the school. My kids are in a lot of extracurricular activities and sports. I was on the primary ballot in 2023, so I was here in January, also expressed interest in the open seat, and I'm here to express interest in filling that this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Brendan McCracken.
Brendan McCracken, 234 Pegron Road, Cherry Tree, Susquehanna Township. I'm also here to express my interest in the open seat on the board. I emailed everybody on the board. I only got 2 responses back, but I didn't know if everybody got my email. The systems weren't working. I tried multiple times through the website of the school, and then I actually went through and put in every email address one at a time and emailed everybody. I got 2 responses. I appreciate those. Letting me know that they received the email. I asked others, I didn't get any response. I wrote a whole page here, but I'm not going to read it because most people here know who I am. But I believe there's a huge divide in our school board, but I don't believe I know it, just like everyone else does. And I think that I have some value in bridging the gap there, being that, you know, I'm familiar with everybody on the school board, most everybody, and you know my opinions, you know where I stand. You know, I ran as a late write-in, and I decided to run late, and I went rogue and ran as a write-in candidate. And I wish I would have done more at the time, and right now that that position's open, I think that I could have some value to the board. Pretty much all I got.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
you.
Okay, and then last is Kevin Lee.
Kevin Lee, 263 Ridge Road, McDowell. I just have a quick little thing. Last month, I spoke, and I was rudely interrupted in my speech. And I started out with bad decisions have consequences, and that's what I wanted to finish up with. But somebody was nodding their head and interrupted me, and I used the wrong word when I finished up. And it was supposed to be consequences rather than retribution. And I thought it was very rude and unprofessional of that person to do that. And I think she needs reprimanded when she speaks up like that, because I've heard her do it several times at meetings. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Kev. For future references, I think they need to be comments on the current agenda, though. Okay, so we need to keep it to that if we can. Okay, that's everybody. So let's go to administrative reports. Superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Krug. I did a typed superintendent report that'll be attached to the minutes, but rather than sit here and read that, I'll just kind of summarize my activities for the past, this will be my third week in the school district. Most of my time has been spent focusing on the status of the consolidation project. I attended this last week, I attended the job conference with SiteLogic and with Mr. Smith, and working my best to get as quickly caught up on that plan as I possibly can and get as many of the details and learn, what are the significant obstacles we're facing right now and what are the things that need to be addressed as soon as possible. As some of you know, there's been a concern about the entry hardware, which is the hardware that goes on the doors and the card readers, and it seems like that's been a moving target. But I met with Mr. Smith and also with the team from SiteLogic, and I also spoke with the gentleman from the contractor that will have that. And I believe we have a good plan in place and directed them to move forward with that. I think this is one of the sorts of things you could easily get caught in a paralysis of analysis and just rethink it almost interminably. So we have a plan that's working and it works, and we're going to move ahead with that so we can get that crossed off the list and get one step closer to the finishing the project. So that's something I'm happy to report, that we have a plan and that's moving forward. Another issue that's a lot of concern with the construction folks and is the relocation of the tech ed spaces in the high school. That would include wood shop, metal shop, and other vocational art shops that are there. This is bringing up a theme that seems to be recurring in the project, and it's something we're going to need to work on as the weeks and months move by here. It's not something that's a stopper or a game changer, but it's just something that does take a lot of focus and effort. And that is that the amount of stuff that is to be moved from the high school down to this site probably is in excess of the amount of available space that there is here to put it. And that's not at all uncommon in building projects. I've done a lot of building projects, and that is a recurrent theme. Everybody would like to keep everything and move it, but generally whenever you're building a new building, you do as little in terms of storage or non-instructional space as you can, simply because obviously it's a cost factor, and unfortunately not everybody can have everything they want. So that's something we're going to have to focus on, and I do have some plans to meet with Jeff and also, again, the gentleman from SiteLogic to look at the space we have available in the new building and what equipment from those rooms and spaces we can move down to there, and what we're going to have to make some other decisions about. That in turn kind of led to my getting a chance to review some of the bids for moving. We've got a couple of bids, some high, some very low, some there's a pretty good disparity between them, so we need to investigate a little bit further and find out why the bids are so far apart. But the good news is I think everything's within the budget that's been set up for moving. But here again, everybody would like to take everything from where they were at the high school and bring it down here. And that probably just isn't possible because there isn't that kind of space available. So difficult decisions have to be made about what can be kept and what can be retained, and we have to put some limits on that. And again, those aren't decisions we've made yet, but we're gonna have to make them here in the very near future as we draw towards the close of the project. That brings up another subject, and I don't wanna harken back to the meeting that took place before this meeting, but one thing that I do wanna have the board bear in mind as we kind of contemplate what's going to happen with the high school is there is, again, not going to be room enough in this new site for everything that's at the high school plus everything that's already here. So either we'll have to dispose of those things that are in excess, or we'll have to store them somewhere. And I've seen school districts do both, but that may be a legitimate need for the high school for at least a time. I don't know how long, matter of months, I think probably not years. But we don't want to just throw things away that we may need, but we aren't going to be able to move everything that we have. So that just kind of give you a large overview of a problem we're going to have going forward. What we need is people to sacrifice and understand we can't take everything, and what are the things that are most critical to our mission as we move towards the end of the building. One thing I haven't been able to do, another thing I was able to do here in my time, so I've managed to be able to meet with most of the department heads, I think all the department heads in the administration, and I'm really pleased with what I've seen so far. Everybody has a very good handle on what they do. I spent some time with Chris reviewing both the IT setup for the district as it stands right now and also the IT infrastructure that is being planned for this site, and I'm really pleased. My background is in instructional technology, and I'm very impressed with the spaces that are the design for the IT infrastructure that is planned for this building. It's really outstanding and is going to serve us very well, and I'm very pleased, and I think we should be very proud of the work Chris has done on putting that together, because it's really first rate. I've also reviewed our special ed situation with Mr. Trissello. We looked at every single outplacement that we have in the school district, and we do have a number of outplacements in special education. That's neither good nor bad, that's just something that is, and it's certainly not unique to Northern Cambria. The concern, of course, is that that's escalating. It's not something that's kind of reversing trend. It's a growing trend, as it is, again, everywhere. And it's something schools all have to deal with. And we are really gonna have to take a hard look at how we are going to try to control it, because the problem is we need to be able to provide the services for the students that genuinely need it and be able to do everything for them that we can and be able to use that judiciously and not service if we have other way to do it. There are other means for educating kids besides special education. I think that's a difficult thing to kind of grapple with. I'm not going to try to do that. Just suffice to say, we have a good bit of work ahead of us to do in the area of special education so that we don't miss out on any of the needs of kids who legitimately qualify for that kind of program. One thing that I think the board will also have to think about, and again, this is not a formal recommendation, I'm not asking for a motion on this or anything of that sort, but in my opinion, if we wanted to do one thing right now to help us get a handle on or better control of our special education situation, it would be to look at our educational psychological services. I think the district probably is big enough that it would benefit from having its own school psychologist. That may or may not be something that fits in the budget, but I think that's certainly something that we ought to look at, or at least be thinking about. As we move into the future next week, I have plans to meet with the principals. I really want to start taking a look at the educational program that's in place, although with what I've seen so far, I'm really impressed. Every day I get emails coming across my computer about PBIS and some of the other great things that are going on here in both of our schools, and it is really genuinely good stuff, and I'm very happy to see it. I really want to get a better understanding and feel for what's going on in each of our buildings, but I can tell you, without going further than I already have, that our principals are doing a great job, and we have an amazing infrastructure in place there. And I also plan to meet with the officers of our education associations next week to start building a relationship with them. So, again, I'm very, very happy to be here. It's a wonderful school district. You folks should be very proud of the work that's being done by your teachers, administrators, and looking forward to joining them. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Dr. Tippett.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few things from the elementary, middle school. February Students of the Month, we always like to start with that. Kindergarten, Emmett Brown. First grade, Aubriella Derricott. Second grade, Paisley Ferguson. Third grade, Faith Thomas. Fourth grade, Ayana Klein. Fifth grade, Andrew Zernick. Sixth grade, Maylee Kurtz. Seventh grade, Arthur Walters. And eighth grade, Ava Hirsch. Just a few things going on in the classroom. Second grade, they have been learning about solids, liquids, and gases. They continue to do that, and they've been doing a lot of integrating across the curriculum into their ELA lessons. Students have been completing various writing activities. They designed a mug, and then they got to make their own hot chocolate, so they really enjoyed that. Just a couple things from our life skills classroom. Mrs. Lytle's Life Skills Classroom took a community-based instruction trip to Admiral Perry Votech in Ebensburg to learn about personal hygiene. Students learned about proper care of nails and hair, and then got the opportunity to get a manicure and shampooed by the students there. Our students loved it. Their smiles were priceless. Also, I wanted to commend the Life Skills group, Mrs. Lytle's group. They started a Colt Cafe that they push a cart around and they sell items to the staff. On Valentine's Day, they did a Colt cart to support our little Kylie McMullen, who has significant health issues, and her family. Through the Colt Cafe, they were able to donate about $225 to her family to help offset travel and meal expenses. So thank you to them for thinking about our little Kylie. Speaking of PBIS, our PBIS activity this month was painting friendship rocks, and the teachers made a photo booth, and then they created a slideshow for the kids to see everything. So special thanks to Mrs. Arden and Mrs. Delosh this month for creating our PBIS activity. Just a few more things. This is Read Across America Week. We're celebrating Read Across America Week with theme days every day, virtual visits with authors, with illustrators, and our very own Colt will be with us on Friday to read to students. So they're going to love that. It's a secret though, so don't tell anybody. Just a reminder that registration for kindergarten is March 20th and March 21st, and preschool registration is March 27th. And lastly, we had our preschool annual review on Friday. I'm happy to say that we received a perfect score on the review, thanks to our pre-K partners, Cambria County Child Development Corporation, for their assistance, and thanks to our wonderful preschool staff. We're very proud of that score. Both the programming piece and the fiscal piece of the review received a perfect score. The annual conference is at the end of the month, coming up in April. This year's conference will be very fiscally heavy, so I'm hoping that maybe Mr. Cronish will be able to attend that. It's at Kalahari again this year, and they always recommend that as part of the review that somebody attend. And because it's fiscally heavy, I thought, but I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for helping and supporting that program too. Yeah, it's really growing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank
Are
you.
you gonna do Mrs. Previous too, or no?
Dan's gonna do
Dan,
it tonight.
okay, go ahead, Dan.
All right, we'll start with our high school students of the month. For February as well, we have senior Caleb Doney, junior Tyler Friedman, and sophomore Levi Czar, and freshman Haley Nelson. Northern Cambria, both the high school and the middle school. Altoona Regional Kid Win Competition, they won both of them and will have an opportunity to compete at the state competition on March 26th. Our high school team consisted of Ty Dum, Caleb Dolney, Drake Weller, and Ben Messina. And our middle school team consisted of Laura Blickendorfer and Rachel Wargo. NC Student Council will be hosting our Powder Puff football game this year on Friday, March 28th at 6 p.m. at the football stadium for our annual juniors versus seniors girls football game. This past weekend, Mrs. Toy and Mrs. Prebish took 14 students to Disney for their Physics of Disney Parks and Leadership Education program, and she'll have more to report next month. She didn't want to send out all the good news and what they did. She wanted to kind of tell that herself, so she'll have more to report on that in April, but everybody is back home safe and dispersed, so we had a successful trip there. And our last one, Zoe Mandrick will be representing us at PMEA Region 3 Band this week. Zoe won her spot through a series of competitive auditions that continue to advance her along to the state levels.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey, question, on the Student of the Month stuff, did we not used to do like certificates and shaking hands?
Yeah, we do certificates, we still give the kids certificates, but, I don't know, for whatever reason, they stopped coming to the board meeting.
Okay.
And that's something,
They got t-shirts today too.
yeah. they-
Even better.
Even better.
Yeah, we give them little gift cards to Dairy Queen and sheets. But yeah, that would be something if the board,
Yeah. They don't wanna, the young ones though, they probably.
They don't wanna come.
600 for it. Older ones don't, I won't disagree with that for a second. Younger ones, it's pretty exciting. Yeah. All right, I wanted to check.
yeah, but no, we do honor them every month.
Thanks.
Joy,
Yes.
isn't it true that a lot of them didn't come? And was it because they were in other activities and it probably coincides with the meeting, so?
Yeah, yeah, a lot of the students didn't attend when we presented, some did, but yeah, we always had many that were absent.
Yeah, some, I meant some didn't, but you
Yeah.
don't necessarily get rid of it just because some don't, I wouldn't say. Yeah, so.
Okay. Thanks. All right, business.
The auditors are currently finishing up on the audit. They're gonna have an on-site day here, I think, someday towards the end of the week. And they anticipate to have everything done and the report will be submitted by the regular meeting this month. That's all I have.
The regular meeting in March?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Cafeteria?
We kicked off March with serving green eggs and ham yesterday with our elementary students. We also had some awards for those kids. We did a little Pick a Lucky Tray Day, and 10 students received books for Read Across America. Next week, we'll be serving a pasta bar. We will be having our speech impromptu competition at the high school. So the students have requested a pasta bar, so we will be having that. And at the end of March, on March 24th, we will be having chicken stir fry, where we will be sauteing out in the cafeterias for the middle school students. So that's what we have happening in March.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you happen to order the equipment you needed?
I have a call in to, he give us the quotes, but I gotta make sure that those items fall under he was checking to see whether they fall under the
Co-stars.
the bidding
Bidding
process,
threshold.
that we don't have to do the whole bidding thing. And if that's the case, then that would save us money and time, so
Okay.
where to find that.
Okay. I guess we'll move into building and ground cafeteria with Site Logic's monthly report.
All right, I know there's no visual display today, but this should have been sent to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, an overview of the active work areas. The Phase 1 classroom addition we completed The metal stud wall framing completed the in-wall mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, and fire protection rough-ins. Continued above ceiling mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-ins. Continued with the brick veneer on the exterior of the building, along with windows. And continued with wall insulation and drywall on the inside. And the installation of the skylight in the courtyard began as well. That's nearly completed. That looks really good. Whenever you guys do get an opportunity to review this update, there's some photos there so you can see some of the progress. The phase 4 gym renovation, all of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection work is completed at this point. The wood floor is completed along with the line striping. The gym equipment itself has been installed and the installation of the bleachers commenced. So that should be turned over by the end of the week. One thing I would like to note for that gym is that once it is turned over, it should be just for the use of students at this time. Until those entryways are done for egress purposes, we wouldn't want to get large crowds of people in there and have an issue with folks being able to get out of there in the event of emergency. Some photos of that as well. The gym turned out really good, looks great. Phase 5, the portion of the classrooms that we've been working in for the last couple of months, that's been turned over, and we switched sides to work on the remainder of classrooms in Phase 5. We began demolition in the auditorium on the other side of this wall, and also started demo in the other classrooms. The library, it was turned over, the district has began moving in there as well. That also turned out great. And the remainder of the work, the secure entry vestibule and whatnot, that will be done this coming summer. The schedule overview, schedule update number 10, had a date of February 7th. Update sheets were issued today, and we're supposed to get them back Friday. So we'll see where we're at once that new update is issued. Phase 1 is still tracking ahead of schedule though. Phases 2, 3, and 4 are substantially complete at this time. Phase 4 being that the gym will be turned over at the end of this week. The library, Phase 5, a portion of Phase 5 is also substantially complete. The auditorium is part of Phase 5 as well. I mentioned that work in there has begun as well. That will likely wrap up this summer. The classrooms, that will also likely go into the summer. Phase 6, we got into some of those classrooms early, so we're a little bit ahead there. The payment application summary is included, which is also in the monthly report. I won't go into any great detail there, but everybody can review it in either location. Update on project challenges. Al spoke on some of these already. The industrial arts room, some conversations are going to take place with Allegheny Educational Systems. They're going to review the layout. There was mention about that space being potentially crowded, so that layout may change again. Once that layout is completed and finalized, Axis will develop drawings. They will then be issued to contractors for pricing for rough-ins, and our plan is, as we discussed at our team meeting, to obtain pricing for all of the equipment so that as the district decides to purchase more in the future or add to it, the infrastructure is there and you don't have to add outlets or dust collection or ventilation or things like that for every single piece of equipment. And he also mentioned about the door hardware, but it seems like we're in a pretty good position now. We have a path forward. So once that's all finalized, due to some of the changes, that's also going to need to be reissued to the contractors to give them the opportunity to provide pricing on any of those changes. That will likely only impact the electrical contractor and the general contractor. The change management log, there's no update.
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Yeah.
The project challenge, can you elaborate just a little bit more on I don't know if I understand the equipment layout of the room. You need board decision on that. Is that?
So the equipment in that room currently, like there's a welding booth put in front of a window, so you wouldn't be able to see through, from one side to the other. Also for ventilation, there's recommendations to put it on an exterior wall, so it's on an interior wall with an interior window to see from one space to another. You'd likely want to put it on an exterior wall where there's not windows or anything like that, so for any of the ventilation system, it can just go up and out the wall. Beyond that, some of the feedback we got, we had a meeting with the district, Allegheny Educational Systems, Axis, SiteLogic, to just review it, make sure everybody knew what's needed from them and others, and identify a path forward so we can get this across the finish line. And there were some comments made about it looking a little bit crowded, so just for usability and things like that. Allegheny Educational Systems, I work with them on other projects. They've designed many, that's their specialty. So they should be able to provide some useful input on that layout for just function and things like that.
Okay.
Answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
The change management log, nothing has changed from the last update. There is a few items that we're trying to get finalized with the contractors, and then they will be shared with the board for their approval. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Joe, did you?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, go ahead. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask if we could schedule a tour for the board, see the updated library and anything that you've completed since our last tour that we've had. It's been several months.
Yeah, of course.
We can schedule that.
Dave wasn't able to make it tonight, but I'll let him know and we can get something set up.
Perfect, thank you.
Do you know if they were done with the crane, did it? Did you get that all work, all done in the day, or?
I do not know that specifically. I'd have to check with Dave on that one. I believe they were just setting rooftop units today, so.
Yeah, they were putting the
it should just be
penthouses
one
up,
day
yeah.
event. They should be done.
Thank you, Dave.
They
Thanks.
did finish.
They did finish? Yeah.
Okay. I hate to backtrack, I apologize, but our maintenance supervisor couldn't be here today. He left a list of the things that he was gonna include in his report. I'd like to put that list in our minutes, if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay. All right, item B for building surrounding cafeteria is a vacant building. Mrs. Lieb asked me to put this on to discuss what's gonna be done with the high school after it's vacated. I'll let you take that up.
Okay, I was more concerned that Roland include this in his budget for next year, because once that building is no longer being used for education, we can't just shut it down. It has to be maintained, the grass has to be mowed, someone's gotta go up there. A lot of people are thinking you're gonna close the doors, turn off the lights, and we're done. And that's not gonna happen. So I just wanna make sure that everybody realizes they're looking at, there's like a abundance of money in the construction project. But there are a lot of things that, up at that building, I mean, if that furnace doesn't work, it's gonna have to be repaired and made operational. You can't just shut it down over the winter.
Yeah,
So-
I'll include some funds in there, and that's for the board to review and adjust if they see fit.
Okay, I just didn't want it to fall through the cracks.
No, we're on it.
Okay,
There's nothing that you want put on for a vote or anything like that?
No.
Okay, good enough. Okay,
Kevin, on that.
yeah, go
topic-
ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just wanted to add, like, so, I think I thought we discussed at one point having maybe a subcommittee for the planning of the, determination what we're gonna do with that building. Is anything in that in motion for Carol, getting that organized just so we can start to kind of plan around that?
We also need to go over the appraisal and what to do about
Yes.
making that
Yeah.
viable, as a viable option for whatever we wanna do, so that's fine, we'll have to do that. What we'd have to do is vote to create a committee, and then I would appoint somebody to be on the committee.
Yeah, because we're just not gonna get it done if we do it in between, these meetings is just not gonna accomplish a big plan like that if we're just trying to accomplish it at these scheduled board meetings. So, yeah, if we could do that, that'd be great.
I'll put that on for the regular agenda to create one.
Thank you.
Okay, in the meantime, we'll discuss the after-dinner program.
The board, what happened was this after-dinner program had been discussed previously. The board knew that we were looking into that, and as part of the contract for the food service company, nutrition, that was included in their proposal. So, that being said, we moved forward and had some meetings with PDE, the pairs people that handle the food service, and Kristen and Donna had some educational programs that they had to go through and get certifications, as well as myself. So we're kind of hanging out there because I'm not certain whether the board has to make a specific motion to say they want to move forward with that food program or not. I didn't want to assume that because that was included as part of their project or projected what they would be doing in the upcoming years, that that was a go-ahead to do that project. So I would ask the board to either make a motion or let us know that that was your intent so that we can then go ahead and move forward. Because if we don't do that quickly, then it falls off the radar, and then everyone would have to start all over again to do their certifications and all of that. So
I'll put it on for the next
we
meeting.
just need guidance, that's
Okay,
all.
I'll do it.
Okay, I have one question according to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That would be then for the next year's budget, correct? And then the cafeteria presents us a new budget each year, so what you're asking for now, like, what is the time frame
Well,
for
we
that?
would have to put that in place right now for the remaining couple months of the school year in order for us to not have to reopen that whole process again for next year. So it's for actually the remaining portion of this school year, and then naturally for the upcoming 25, 26 school year as well.
Okay.
So the intent, at least previous to, Laura leaving, was that was gonna continue to move forward and get started this year. And that's why we proceeded with the certifications and all of that. So that's what we need to
I'll
know.
put it on for the agenda, okay? Okay, business and finance. Facilities Management Express, this is a voting item. So be it resolved, the Board of Education approves payment of $3,364.14 for the FMX annual subscription fee, a one-year software license from March 23rd, 25 through March 22, 2026.
Make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Basil. Second by Mr. Daniel Hoover. Questions or comments? Now, just for the public, I think this is how they schedule their things within the school, maintenance issues, usage of facilities, stuff like that.
Yeah, every department has their own kind
Yeah,
of
it
module
covers-
that pertains.
Yeah, our IT tickets, our maintenance tickets, our scheduling of the facility for the public, all that happens throughout.
And you've been using this for how long? Forever?
Years,
A long time,
yeah.
since I left, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, the Northern Cambria Public Library, you can see it on there. We've done this as long as I've been here, so pretty much the same thing. You heard the passion plea about this, and Pastor Marty is always here, so you can read that in front of you. Can we put this on for the agenda? Okay, we'll put that on, Karen, okay?
Yes.
Can I interject?
Please.
The only thing is we did budget for this year, but we typically don't pay them till later on in the year. So if the board wants to make that as part of the motion to pay them this year's budgeted amount, or not.
Well, this says for the 2025-26 school year, so that would be after
Right, but that's
after
put
July
it on for
1st.
next year's budget. But what I'm saying is they have not been paid for this year's budget. We typically pay them towards the end of the school year for the 24-25. So if the board wants to just make a motion in that same motion to say, and pay them their this year's allocation.
Wasn't that already approved
Yeah,
for last year?
It was,
Approved that last year.
it was approved in the budget.
Well, I'm sure I voted on this last year to pay them $4,000. We can go back and look, but, I thought we already did that, but if it wasn't,
Okay, well,
I'll put it on.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah,
research
we
that.
can look.
Yeah. Okay, Cyber School Subcommittee, discuss the formation of a subcommittee to discuss cyber process for Mr. Fast.
Yeah, I just asked for this to be added. I think that, Roland can probably add some additional color to this, but there's no doubt that if there's an expenditure that we probably haven't discussed enough that has increased in the school district for the past number of years, it's been our cyber school costs. I think sometimes we, trip over nickels to pick up pennies, and I think we need to really look at this cost overall and what we can strategically do as a district to try to defray some of that cost by keeping the students in the district and choosing our cyber school. So I would request that we maybe have Roland pull some expense that we've had over the past number of years, how it's changed, and have Bob initiate, since it probably falls under finance, a committee that would start looking at this cost and what we can do as a district to maybe start to try to defray some of that cost by, again, keeping those students within either our cyber school or something, because it's exponentially increased over the number of years. We could be paying for probably over half our construction project with just that cost alone, more than that probably. So I think it's something we need to really look at and delve into.
I put on here, make a subcommittee for next agenda, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, use of facilities, discuss the fire company's request for the use of the facility in the gym. This was a very late item. This was presented to me, you could please pass this down if you don't mind, by Mr. Mike Petrisco from the fire company. What they do is, they try to ask for help with facilities. They run some kind of a program. It's called Why Drown, Keep Your Head Above Water. This is for the kids. This is for middle-aged kids. He wanted to know if we would be willing to let them use our swimming pool and our gym to run this program sometime in this summer. Or I think it might have been early May or April. The problem we have, and I said I'm all for it, I'm sure our board members will be all for something like this for the kids. The problem we have, and I found this out from Mr. Smith, is we can't use our pool right now because we're not certified. We don't have anybody that can run the pool with certification that's within an hour of our location. And we would have to get more information from him. He's not here tonight. But that's one of the problems we're up against. So until we can get that done and we have somebody that lives within the vicinity, we can't operate our pool, no matter if we have it or not. And I can't, there's no documentation that our last businessman, or last maintenance supervisor was actually able to run the pool or not. We can't find it anywhere.
He had certification.
Yeah, we just can't find it, and the lady from the state couldn't find it, so she said, good thing you're not running it right now, or you'd run into a heap of trouble. So that's what we're up against now. Jeff, I think, is in the process of trying to get that done, but it takes a while. So that's what we're up against, okay? So, go ahead.
So I was gonna ask you if Jeff's currently actively seeking certification, or if someone is, but then you just answered it, so that's good.
Yeah.
But number two, we have a relationship with Indiana YMCA?
That's what that's from, okay?
No, this is Johnstown.
Well,
Okay.
he said about, that. This is just an example
Oh,
that
good,
he gave
okay,
you.
as long as we're
Okay?
not breaking our relationship.
No, we're
that's
not,
all.
okay?
Perfect, thank you.
But this is from the fire company.
Okay.
So, okay?
Good.
So that, I just wanted to bring that up, let you know that we're looking at it. This is really under community relations, so whatever we can do to try to expedite that, we will. I know Jeff's looking into it, but right now, his hands are tied. Okay?
Just FYI, the Johnstown YMCA does provide this service at a fee, but they'll do it, but if you get enough.
Okay, so that was a community relations thing, okay? If anybody wants a copy, this is what Mike gave me. You're welcome to have mine. I always have it, okay?
Tom, are you certified to run the pool?
Okay.
Oh,
Tom's saying he's certified.
Tom's certified to
there
run
you
the
go.
pool.
Well, there you go. Problem
There you
solved.
go.
Thanks, that was good, a board member, perfect. Well, I mean, you can fill in until
Tom,
Jeff gets it done, Bob.
Tom,
That's
Tom,
really our fault, we should have found that out about Jeff before we hired him.
we will put
So-
you in touch with, Mr. Smith there, Tom, okay?
Way to go, Tom.
Okay, curriculum instructions, the Meadow Psychiatric Center, we have a thing that we're supposed to look at, discuss the 3-year letter of agreement, and we'll do that as per attachment 3. That's all I have on that, is the attachment we have, so. Is there anything you know about that, Mr. Johnson, at all?
Yeah, it's fairly standard. Sometimes students are admitted to Meadows. It's one of the few child psychiatric centers. And when that happens, there is a legal obligation for the Meadows to provide an educational service to those children, but then there's also a legal requirement for the school district to pay for it. So this is just an agreement that's typically executed between the Meadows and probably every other school district in the region for what they'll charge to provide the educational service for a student that's admitted into their program. And I remember looking at I don't have the thing in front of me, but it wasn't an unusual and unreasonable amount of money. Most often that happens if you have kids that are in a partial hospitalization program or something similar to that. So it's just like a master agreement that would be used if we had somebody that was admitted there. I don't think we have anybody in Meadows at the moment. Bob could tell me that for sure, but I don't believe we do. But I think it's pretty straightforward agreement.
The Meadows is in Center Hall, I believe. That's the place, okay?
Yep.
Okay, item B, in-person evaluation, discuss parental request for an in-person gifted evaluation for a student with Mrs. Jamie Irvin, who is a psychologist. The cost of the district will be $1,000. I'm gonna guess this is through him also, right?
Yeah, yes, it is. Trying to think how much I can say about this in an open session. Probably not really anything other than, no, I won't. Yeah, I'm not. I will undoubtedly say something dumb. I do frequently.
Okay. All right. Legislation policy development, the therapy dog policy. I was asked to put this on again by Mr. Vazel.
Yeah, I asked for this to be put on. I'm just trying to understand. I know that, so the public kind of understands the way that works for new policies. It's a little bit news to me too in terms of how the process works, because I'm still learning some stuff. But correct me if I'm wrong, but new policies have to be read twice in the public, the first and second reading. So we had the first reading. It seemed to be accepted and voted on by the board, we had enough votes. Second reading, some individuals change their votes, and again, I have no issue with how people vote. I'll try to respect that, but I do wish that people would at least express the reason that they vote the way they do. If they don't support a policy, then, Norma, we don't always agree, but you at least said that you had concerns about certain things, and I can respect that, but some individuals change their vote, and I don't quite understand why, and it's not apparent, and in that case, when it's not apparent to me, it seems like there's something going on in the background that would change somebody's vote. So I just ask that we reconsider this policy for the district. Coincidentally, Diane talked about at the beginning, which I didn't even know she was going to, about the benefits of when students read to dogs and other reading proofs. So I just can't see any huge negatives of this, other than having the potential policy. We'd still likely have to approve a therapy dog coming in. We just have a policy that would support that. And then we could make decisions as those opportunities come up. But I just can't see why we'd want to not support a benefit for the students, the staff, the school district. So if you're against this policy, I'd prefer that you just say why you're against it, and if we can talk through it, if the policy needs modified, because there's some language that you don't agree with. If you don't have the courage to speak your mind and say why you don't agree with it, then I would question whether or not you should be sitting on this board, because we should be able to publicly discuss what our issues are, what our agreements are, disagreements. So I'm just trying to understand whether or not we can do this policy again. Kevin, can you clarify, so this is not considered a reading type,
No,
correct?
we'll consider this the first reading.
Oh, this would be a reading again?
Yes.
How does the voting work in terms of accepting it though? Is that?
It'll be on the next one for the second
It'll be on
reading.
the next one.
It'll be a voting, yes.
Okay, so I probably blabbered on a little bit too long there, but, so I just wanted to mention that. I thought it was important we revisit it, so thank you for putting it on there.
Yep, and Karen, would you put that on for the voting, we'll be voting on it next time as the second reading,
Yes.
okay? All right, thanks. Okay, personnel, board member resignation. Be it resolved, the Board of Education accepts with regret the resignation of Gerald Krimenacher and declares his seat of the Board of Directors of the Northern Cambria School District to be vacant. I will make the motion. So, Mr. Bob Westrick. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, board member appointment. Be it resolved, the Board of Education appoints blank to fill the seat on the Board of Directors for the Northern Cambria School District that was vacated by the resignation of Mr. Jared Krimenacher, and I will make that motion. So Mr. Mike Vasil. Okay. Now, I will read the names in the order that I received them. The first, and we'll put them in first. Christine Phillips, Tom Bender, Diane Waxmunsky, Delvin Lockard, Cindy Bodick, Brendan McCracken, and Mr. Jim Rocco, but Mr. Jim Rocco holds a seat on a different board, so he's not eligible to do that right now, okay? So we're gonna leave him on. So the first one is Christine Phillips. So the Board of Education appoints Christine Phillips to fill the seat on the Board of Directors of the Northern Cambria School District that was vacated by the resignation of Jared Krimenacher. And I made the motion and Mike seconded it. Any questions or comments? Roll call. Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry, Jen, did you comment?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. Roll call.
Mrs. Hoover.
Yes.
Dr. Krug.
No.
Mrs. Krug.
No.
Mrs. Leaf.
No.
Mr. Rocco. Mr. Basil.
Yes.
Miss Westrick. Mr. Westrick. I'm sorry. I'm
Mike,
sorry, did you
what
say
Mike
yes or
say?
no?
Yes?
No.
Bob's
Miss
no.
Cinch. Miss Cinch.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Fails.
Okay, we'll go to the next name. We allowed to do that name?
I have a question. Can
Yes.
you tell me how many nominations each of those people got?
I did not count them. I just put them in the order I received them.
Could you read the names again? I'm sorry.
Christine Phillips, Tom Bender, Diane Waxmunsky, Delvin Lockard, Cindy Bodick, Brendan McCracken.
I'm only asking because the last two times we did this, you said that the person's name that you spoke in the motion was the one who got the most
Correct.
nominations.
Correct.
So I'm wondering, I would like to know.
Well, I didn't get a majority of people, so I'm putting them in an order I received. Okay?
You don't have a tally of how many
I
each
do not
person
have a
got?
tally.
Oh.
I did not get an over,
That would be voting outside
and
the
I
meeting.
did not get an overwhelming recommendation,
Well, that
so
was
I
your
just put them in
husband's
the order that I
instruction to us,
received.
Norma.
Okay. The next one on the list is, am I allowed to do this more than one time? Yes. Okay. Is Mr. Tom Bender.
I don't know who that is.
So, be it resolved, the Board of Education appoints Tom Bender to fill the seat on the Board of Directors for the Northern Cambria School District that was vacated by the resignation of Mr. Jared Krimenacher. I made the motion. Mike, you still second it?
Yep.
Okay, second by Mr. Mike Basil. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Jen.
So, this is a very important seat, as are all seats on the board. And I'd like to see people coming to the meetings, or at least reaching out to the board. I don't know Mr. Tom Bender, but other members that are asking to fill the seat have at least expressed interest via in person, via email, and so I think that should be taken into consideration. Thank you.
Roll call.
Dr. Krug.
Yes.
Mrs. Krug.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Rocco. Mr. Basil.
No.
Mr. Westrick.
Yes.
Ms. Zinchock.
No.
What did Mr. Rocco
Mrs.
say?
Hoover.
I didn't hear.
I have to say no because
What did
I
Mr.
don't know
Rocco
that
say? I
person.
didn't hear.
No.
He said yes. No idea who that is.
I'm sorry, you said yes.
Yes.
Everybody except the three of us.
1,
I'm
2,
sorry,
3,
Miss-
4, 5, so that's a pass. Okay, so it looks like Mr. Bender is a yes, so, okay. Okay, item C, school resource officer, discuss SRO contract versus school police officer, that we'll do that in executive session, okay, because that's contractual, okay? Item D is a voting item, non-union maintenance positions. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves the job description and starting hourly salary of blank as recommended by the maintenance director for the two previously created non-union maintenance positions. Now, these positions, okay, I'll make the motion for that. I'll make the motion for that. Second, Mrs. Norm Crew. Any questions or comments? Since I made the motion, I'll make the comment. Now, I'm gonna get to that, okay? These were developed by Mr. Smith. I had nothing to do with this, no matter what anybody said. They were forwarded to Mr. McElwain, who is taking care of that through the other part entities involved, okay? But we're getting no response, so that's why I put it on for a vote. We created positions already, but we have not decided on the job description or the salary. Now, Mr. Smith suggested a salary of $20 per hour for each employee, based on the rate that he would have to pay, or the school district would have to pay, if he had to have an outside agency come in to do this kind of stuff, which was $70 to $80 per hour, okay? So, I mean, 20 seems like a lot to me, but I'm going with his recommendation of $20 per hour, okay? If you guys have something else for that line, you can let me know right now. These positions were approved to be advertised, but have not been done so yet. Okay? Anybody have any other recommendations? Another what he said, sent to me for the hourly rate.
What do the current, there are people on our staff who currently do these jobs. What do they make right now?
I do not know that because they don't do the job right now. They're custodians.
Well, they, to this point, they've been doing these duties. We're just coming up with a new classification. Like otherwise, like the lights wouldn't be on. They do this work already.
No, you have the contracts, I don't know.
Okay, I mean, we should,
I don't know that.
all right.
Is this, Kevin, to discuss the motion, or is this to discuss the hourly rate?
It's both. I mean,
Okay.
you were sent the things by me from Toby and Mr. Smith, okay, confidentially, I sent them to you, but the hourly rate should be discussed. It was a suggestion from Mr. Smith, okay? I'm not gonna assume to put that in there, I'd like input from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, my only thoughts are, again, I don't know if other school districts have these classifications of positions. I would have recommended we talk to other school districts that we're competing with for the same type of labor pool. Again, I'm not necessarily against the fact that we need a separation of roles, but it's difficult to support this when we know that this is likely gonna result in extra costs for the school district, and it's something that, based on what the contract is, I'm not getting all those specifications, but all this is probably gonna do is end up resulting in additional costs for the school district, because, again, some of the points that I made at the beginning were pretty valid. So, I would have just liked to see competing maintenance positions salaries from competing school districts, because I have no concept of what an hourly wage is. Rates have changed so much over the past 4 years that, I mean, we know that, you know, even fast food positions have gone up 25–30%, so I can only imagine what maintenance positions may be, but I don't know if I can give good input on that. So that's only my thoughts on that motion.
The reason we're dealing with these people is because we have a union who is classified as custodians. We have furnaces that need fired and taken care of. We have other stuff in the building that most maintenance positions will take care of, and they won't do them. So we have a building and a physical plant that is not being taken care of the way it should be. And the union is not responding, and are giving our maintenance supervisor nothing but headaches. We deal with this issue every single meeting. I deal with this as president, behind the scenes, more than you can possibly imagine, and I'm tired of it, okay? And if all this does is bring the union to the table to talk, fine, that's what we're gonna do. Simply what we're gonna do, okay? So if they wanna grieve us over this, let them grieve us, okay? Simple as that. And that's fine, we'll get a chance to talk to them finally, because they're not even coming to us. So we have to take care of our physical plant. It has to be done. You can't let it go. We're having complaints about it being cold in the high school because no one will fire the furnace. we're gonna fire the furnace. One way or the other, we're gonna heat the building.
They're being offered overtime as well, correct?
Exactly, and they won't take it. They
Even though
won't do
it
it.
was a position they took and understood that's what it was, and for several years worked that way, but for whatever
I deal
reason.
with the same thing.
He won't do it.
Has the union been given the job description? So, I know they've been asking
The
for it.
union won't even talk.
Have
If
they
this
been
forces
given-
us to talk, it will.
But I know they had requested a job description. Has that been supplied to them?
I think it was, Danielle, I believe it was.
I feel like as of today,
It's in our
it was
email.
not, but I didn't send it.
If they haven't received it, they will.
Okay.
Be sending it.
All right, because I haven't, obviously didn't share it, but I know as of today, nobody has had it. So they might talk if, you know.
So in order to get the ball rolling, we didn't decide on an hourly rate, a starting hourly rate. I think 20 is a little high. That was Mr. Smith's suggestion based on what he would pay an outside agency, okay? I do not believe the custodian, I don't remember this, but there's no one near that rate. So I would be willing to put in 18 as a
I
starting
have a
salary.
question.
Go ahead.
Mrs. Hoover, when you did the contract, what was their salary hourly rate for the custodian?
I don't recall right now. I mean,
Bear
it's
with
in
me,
there.
I'll look it up, because I have every contract for everybody here.
I think
It's gonna
18
take a
sounds
little
fair.
I mean, I would look at what the starting rate was, but also if we are going to truly advertise these positions,
Around 12.50 or 13.
We
then,
have to
and
advertise
they,
these positions.
well, if we want to get skilled people to do the work, we have to pay a decent rate.
Is $20 an hour a decent rate?
I don't know about that job description, I don't know what people that do that work get paid an hour.
Now, maintenance supervisor suggested 20 an hour. This is not the actual one I sent you, this is a picture that he sent me. If you'd like to send it, you can see where he put it on a Post-it note. You see it right there. You see that. Okay? So if it's that, I'll go with the $20 an hour. But we're gonna make something happen. We shouldn't have to deal with this every single meeting. Okay? So I'll put on $20 an hour. No one else can. So we're gonna do 20.
Kevin.
Okay,
just so
yes.
you know, this was done in the past, I did tell you that. We used to call them weekend workers, we had them for
I
years.
understand that, and it was also advertised as floater custodians, which got shot down because the language of the contract didn't spell that out.
They weren't allowed.
So now we're dealing with this.
They weren't allowed to sweep or do custodial duties, but they would have one guy 12 hours Saturday, then the other guy the second 12 hours, then Sunday 12, then Sunday 12, and then they were done. They only worked the weekends, and they fired the boilers and kept them going till our regular guys got back Monday morning. That's how it used to work.
Those are the days of yore.
Kevin, the figures are around 12.25.
It says the weekend worker was $12 an hour, custodians are $12.25 an hour as new hires. Right there, okay? So the highest paid weekend warrior or custodian was $12.25 an hour to start with, by the time they're 2027, that's 60 cents an hour increase. So they're not making anywhere near 20, okay? So,
I'm good with 18.
18? Carol, 18? Bob, 18?
I
Jen?
propose 15 if we're going this route, because if it's 12, we can't, $5 an hour
Well,
increases.
like
or
Danielle
$7
said,
an
you
hour
can't get good people if you don't pay them.
Well, how are we gonna, I hope that we are not gonna reward the same people who won't do the work now with these new higher paying positions.
It depends who applies there, Mrs. Hoover.
That's exactly what's gonna
That's
happen.
why
Right, and the reason that we're in this situation, and now we're gonna reward them with a $20 an hour job?
See, you're assuming that that's gonna happen
Well,
automatically.
okay, I hope it doesn't, but
I mean,
So what am I putting in, guys?
firing that boiler was serious
Getting a little-
business.
I'm gonna move on here pretty quick.
they won't do it
I
now.
know.
Excuse me?
Mr.
Yeah.
Rocco.
Go ahead, Mr. Taraka, go ahead. What were you
I
saying?
said that's serious business, firing that boiler, and you better have people that know what the heck they're doing. You can't, and paying them, you should get better people, good people that know what they're doing, and they should be boiler certified.
Yes.
Well, you should probably
That's where we are.
help interview them because maybe you should help interview
The
them.
highest person that's making a salary right
I
now in the
wish you would,
custodians is
because-
$16.90 per, or I'm sorry, $21.35 an hour. And I
Sorry,
think
you're
she's
not-
retired.
Put that in.
So the next month will be $16.90.
Okay.
So I don't think 18's over the top for a maintenance position. Okay, then I'm not getting anything down that table, so here we go. Be resolved, the Board of Education approves the job description, the starting hourly salary of $18 per hour, as recommended by the maintenance director for the two previous created non-union maintenance positions. Roll call.
Mrs. Krug?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco? Mr. Basil?
No.
Mr. Westrick?
Yes.
Ms. Zenshaw?
No.
Mrs. Hoover?
No.
Dr. Cruz?
Yes.
Motion carries.
It will be advertised starting tomorrow. Okay, staff development, PMEA conference, discuss the attendance of Mrs. Fox of the Pennsylvania Music Education Association Annual In-Service Conference on April 9th to the 12th, 2025, at no cost to the district. I will definitely put this on if it's okay with you guys.
Yes.
Okay. Student activities fundraiser calendar, be resolved, the Board of Education approves the following additions to the 24-25 fundraiser calendar. You can see it there, Mrs. Fox. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Norm Krug. Questions or comments on the fundraiser? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, bus driver. I think we ought to, I'm gonna motion to table this.
Second.
Second on the table from Mrs. Norm Krug. Since there's no questions or comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, athletics, girls' golf team. You want to discuss that, Mr. Pajak, at all?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Go ahead.
So I'm just asking the board that we look at adding the girls' golf team to our list of athletics here for Northern Cambria. So with the combination of purchase line, with our co-op last year, we were, right around a good number of girls. We had 8 or 9, and what Coach Wickendorfer has done is kind of done a little bit of recruiting. So if my numbers serve me correctly, we should have about 10 boys on the golf team and 10 girls on the golf team. So what I'm asking here, and this would have to be something union as well with the contract, is create a position for a head girls golf coach position, as well as hiring an assistant coach that would help both the boys and the girls team whenever needed. So creating that position and hiring a new head coach for the girls golf team for next year.
Are we co-oping with purchase line?
Yes, and Harmony still as well.
And Harmony also?
Yeah, we didn't have anybody from Harmony last year, so we'll see what this year brings, but purchase line is giving us good numbers in that co-op.
And I talked to Mr. Pajak this week about it, got more specific numbers, the team is growing, so I'm asking that we put it on for a bit.
Okay, we'll do.
Hey, Dan, quick question for you. Just out of curiosity, within our district, how's the other schools have it in terms of golf teams? Is it one typically, or like, I'm just curious what the...
In the Heritage?
Yeah, or whoever they would play. I'm just curious what the scheduling worked like in terms of girls. I have no, I agree, it makes sense because, a guy physically hits the ball further than a girl typically. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
So
I'm
from a
just curious.
Heritage perspective and a scheduling perspective, it'll be a little bit harder to find teams, but those same teams are in the same boat that we are.
Okay.
So I just jotted down some teams that I know have girls golf programs. River Valley and Heritage Conference, that's going to be 2 for us there. I know Westmont, St. Joe's, Ligonier, Indiana, Derry, trying to think of some other District 6 schools. I know like Phillipsburg, Osceola, which is a long trip out there. But there's a good amount of District 6 schools that are looking for golf matches as well. And I'm not looking to fill all 18 golf matches. I think that would not be reachable. But if I can get girls with 10 solid matches this year to get them qualifying score for sections and districts, it would be a plus.
So then you could, does the districts work right now? Is it even though it's like intramural, the girls and boys on the same team, do you get to send girls and boys from the co-ed team?
So girls can play with the boys at sectionals and districts in all the matches.
Okay.
They're good enough, but they have to play from the whites still.
But do you get to send more, if the teams are broken up, do you get to send like 2 and 2, or is it like from each Like in the past, it used to be you could send like 2 players from your team for districts or something like that.
So those are all based on qualifying scores.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, qualifying scores. So
Okay.
girls and boys, obviously the girls' scores are a little bit higher than the boys' scores when it comes to qualifying. But we had 3 girls qualify this year. Only one of the girls wanted to go just because she knew her scores, the other 2, their scores weren't comparable to everybody else. But, we would be able to send a full team to sections or districts, which would allow us to qualify, for states as a team if we would make that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Girls golf, there's over 100 unused scholarships every single year in Pennsylvania. It's amazing.
Wow.
All I go do shoot 45. Come on, get Laney out there, get her a nice scholarship.
Too angry. Swing it. Stick with volleyball.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
Okay, the Huddle contract, discuss having a 3-year contract with Huddle. I was talking to our solicitor about this, so I think the advertisement wouldn't apply since it's a service.
It's a specialized technological service.
So
And it would only really be a problem for year 3, but by that time, the bidding threshold's probably gonna be increased beyond that anyway.
yeah, and we use this all the time, right, Dan? I mean, we've used it forever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the reason I'm bringing this to the board is our current contract with NFHS. Those are our 2 cameras at the football stadium and at the gym right now are done at the end of this year. So technically, we're not using them anymore at all, so they're done right now. So NFHS, as you guys all know, is a subscription video service for anybody. Like anybody can get a subscription and they can watch all of our live stream football games, volleyball games, basketball games, all that good stuff. Well, that contract is over. So I just went out to look for another option, and Huddle is this other option. So the nice thing about Huddle is we use it as coaches, right? Our football coaches, our volleyball, and boys and girls basketball uses, and this is for film breakdown, percentages, rebounds, kills, digs, tackles, all that good stuff. This is where we get all of our information from. So Huddle came out with these cameras as of recently. NFHS was first during COVID. Huddle was coming along here very, very quickly with it. So they would provide us 2 new cameras with the cost that you guys see there. Now, the nice thing about Huddle is with that subscription, they would give us a 60% kickback on all the subscriptions, where the NFHS cameras only give us an 8% kickback as of right now. So a quick conversation with Mr. Rowland, we make less than $1,000 every single year on NFHS. Now, there's an option out there with Huddle as well. We could buy these cameras with this 3-year deal, and after that 3rd year, we pay for the price of the cameras. So the cameras are ours. And we could, at that point in time, put our rate at $0, and everybody could watch for free. So that would be, a plus later down the line as well. Now, granted, that would drive down the cost, tickets and attendance at games, which I'm not suggesting, but it's just an option out there. If the board doesn't agree with this option to purchase these cameras, the quality is so much better compared to NFHS. And I asked NFHS, like, listen, do you have better cameras? They're like, no, we haven't been updating them, we haven't been doing much. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, on the flip side as well, NFHS contract to renew is $0. I mean, we got the cameras, it's gonna be $0. I would just like the board to kind of throw out some options there. For my coaches, I know it would be a huge help for them not to have somebody record every single game, and transfer that over to their Huddle accounts. And every Sunday, I know Coach Schutte, he's breaking down film for hours based on what Huddle is giving us, but Huddle would do all of that stuff for them if we have these cameras in our stadiums and gyms. But there's a cost. Over 3 years, it is gonna cost the district an extra $10,000, but that will pay for the cost of the cameras.
I have 2 questions for you.
Fire away.
Number 1, does it come with a sound system that they maintain?
No.
Okay, number 2, who does the maintenance on the cameras and system?
Huddle does.
Okay, so they would come out biannually?
I'm not sure how that, they would probably only come out if I asked them, kind of like NFHS. I mean,
Okay.
NFHS, they're good, they walk me through things, but I don't know how many times I've been on the phone with them at a football game because my camera's not working.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's the way it always works. Somebody texts me, hey Paige, our camera's not working.
Right.
Okay, so that's when I start my, troubleshooting stuff. But Huddle will service these cameras for us.
Does anyone else in our conference, sorry, I have 3 questions. Anyone else in our conference use Huddle for their streaming?
United, Conemaugh Township, and there was one other one as well. We as a conference met with Huddle last year.
Okay.
And we were all gonna do it together at once, but we didn't get enough votes as a conference to do that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So I think it'd be great, but it's up to you guys.
Yeah, I have a question.
Absolutely.
First of all, I might use a different term than kickback, but
sorry.
just a thought I had.
Okay.
Now, does Huddle, do they put ads in the stream, and they do?
That would be something that I haven't even dabbled with yet, is we can go out to a local community.
Well, that's what I'm
member.
asking, so like, we could do that, and we could solicit donations for that in exchange for,
Absolutely.
so that could be,
Yeah.
okay,
So
great.
every video, every time that a game is playing, an advertisement will pop up.
Pop
every
up,
time.
do that, all right.
We could advertise the Northern Cambria Charter School in that one, huh?
Well, that's,
There you go. Be a loop. There you go.
That worked.
You get one kid to come back, the system's paid for.
Yeah.
you're right.
I'm all for that.
Well, it only takes one. All right, we'll put that on, Karen, okay?
So just so everybody knows, we already pay $8,000 in Huddle costs anyway for our software. So this would be an increase for the cameras over the 3 years.
And just to compare, NFHS is 0 to renew,
Correct, sir.
okay? Full disclosure, right?
Full disclosure,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right. All right, the OES Football Stadium scoreboard purchase. Discuss purchasing a new OES football field scoreboard and play clocks as part of the Rosebud Mining donation matching funds agreement. Might as well keep going.
So OES is the scoreboards that we currently have in our high school gym. Mr. Montanaro brought those in about 3 years ago, and they are, granted, I haven't worked with a lot of scoreboards, but they are great scoreboards to work with. You can customize them, you can put different colors on them. They're very, very easy to work with. I literally run the scoreboard from my phone before every volleyball game, every basketball game. So this is the same company that would put in a new scoreboard and new play clocks as well down at the stadium. OES, like Ms. Senshaw had asked, who's going to kind of maintenance these ones, they always maintenance all of our scoreboards at the gym. If there was any problems in the 3 years that I've been there, I haven't had any problems with any of those scoreboards. And this is just something I guess I want to put out there as the very first thing to kind of get the ball rolling, because I know football season seems a long way away, and I know that there is no timetable with that Rosebud donation, but there are a lot of things that we need to do to that football stadium, in my own opinion, before the season starts next year for fan safety, player safety. And as I talked to Mr. Johnson earlier this week, one of the first things that you see when you walk into a football stadium is a scoreboard. These are big, bright, beautiful things that a lot of people pay attention to throughout games. So hopefully this is just one of many ideas that I want to present to the board moving forward here with some of our stadium renovations.
Okay, question. How old is the one that's there now? 'Cause
10 plus years old.
How many?
10 plus. I
10
don't
plus.
know a specific date.
I thought it was newer than that.
I think
I
it
thought we
is
put a
newer
brand
than
new
that.
one in there about 5 or 6 years ago, but
I know
I
that
could be wrong on
it's
that.
Coach Schudy's time, he's been here for 8 years. It was here when he got here.
Because I remember my brother making the supports for it. He welded them, so it seems like it's quicker than that, but, well, that's fine.
And it's just,
So,
like I said, just.
do you think
just
this
a
is
start.
more, do you think this is more needed than new bleachers?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The new bleachers.
Or the clubhouse?
So,
Or,
okay, so if we're comparing apples to oranges here, we're talking about millions of dollars versus thousands of dollars.
well, I'm just wondering, if you spend Rosebud Mining on something that's a luxury, you're not getting your needs.
The Rosebud Mining will not cover what we need that way. $200,000 will get us a section of bleachers.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I know that they brought up before clubhouse, redoing that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, like I said, this $200,000, it's a drop in the bucket that stadium needs. And if we as a board, you guys as a board wanna say, hey, let's take that $100,000 from us and $100,000 from Rosebud and look at bigger projects, my ears will perk up, I promise, and I'll say, I don't need any scoreboard for the next, until I retire. I'll come back and see a new one, but I just don't see that happening anytime soon, so I need to think about what we can actually do with the money that we have. Do I think that we can build a new press box for $100,000? Absolutely. we can definitely do that.
That was my next thing.
But that would be something that we can include in the scoreboard as well. You know, we need new flooring, the entire field house down at the football stadium, because the flood wiped out our flooring. So we need new flooring for those kids walking in cleats on cement floor. It's just a safety risk for players. You know, we have a sidewalk that doesn't go all the way around the stadium. Our stadium is not handicap accessible on the home sideline. But these are all things that are bigger than what we have right now, so I'm just throwing out some ideas.
I believe our last scoreboard was donated by
Resix,
someone.
one of
Yeah.
Resix? I think Resix did.
So I'm saying there might be someone in the community wanting to donate.
Well, another thing too is, Mr. Toby and I were talking, this might have to be a bid item. Because it's over the threshold.
Absolutely.
It can't just be OES, so.
But so my question is, if only 17,000 is coming from us and the other 17,000 is coming from Rosebud?
It's still 12.8.
Okay.
Like you said, if they would have bought us the scoreboard, different story.
It's different if they would purchase a scoreboard, deliver it, but if you're just taking funds and use it, those become district funds, and then it becomes something that has to be bid.
I'm just giving this.
We might be just putting the cart before the horse on that one a little bit, but.
Have we received the funds yet?
They will match whatever we have, that's the understanding. But I don't think they're just gonna give us 100,000.
So we write a check, they write a check. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, just, two quick notes. Have we ever had an assessment done on the stadium yet, just in terms of needs? I don't know, like a comprehensive assessment, maybe of.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Sonic told me stadium, seating, and lights were 1.2 million.
That sounds about right. We never had anyone come in and take a look, though, and appraise it, so I don't know where those numbers are coming from.
And the other thing is just, sound system. I mean, is that something that,
We fixed it.
oh, it's fixed? Or, I mean, every year it's, I mean, is that not a high priority probably, I'm thinking? I don't know, it's every year we struggle with that damn sound system. It's like, it works in the summer, then we get to the first
The
game,
more
and it works
people
for
you get in
4
that stadium, the worse it is.
What's that?
The more people you get in that stadium, the worse it is. It works great when I hook it up and go down for my pregame routine, and my voice echoes off the city, but it's just, when more people that get in there, there's, you know, Chris Barr would probably know more than I would when it comes to sound systems and whatnot,
Chris
but
is small.
I know that we spent some money on a sound system that, kind of works.
Is there any way to do, I mean, is there a way to put a whole new, I mean, again, it's cost, obviously, but is that the direction we're at this point? A new sound system versus,
Something that's more.
I don't know how old that sound system even is, I'm just asking, I'm not sure.
I feel like it was a donation from a local business, and then I don't know how it was installed. Do you know who installed it?
Yeah, just part of that,
It was a
like, I
really
just,
good system, and I just think there was.
I mean, I'd like to get a new scoreboard too, Dan, I think, it's just that sound system, it's every year, we can't hear, I'm like, is that a priority maybe, I don't.
Yeah, I just know that, you know, there's, that stadium needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just throwing out an idea.
Yeah, which we appreciate.
Yeah.
You should be doing fundraisers, it's not your job to be doing.
If somebody wants to come up, like, I just don't want us to sit on this, that's all.
Yeah.
I think we need to set our priorities at first, the safety of the kids and the safety of the fans. So I think that's where the money should be sent to prioritize.
I agree with Norma.
Can I reach out to companies for bleacher posts?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, please,
Awesome.
I'd say.
Absolutely.
Oh, while you're at it, can I ask that you look at estimates for resurfacing the track, please?
Another topic for another day.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know what we're doing.
We do a track like that.
Okay.
You do have one.
All right, we'll move on.
I'm not gonna research.
We're gonna move into executive session. Be it resolved, the Board of Education will enter an executive session at 7:28 PM to discuss litigation, contact students, and personnel. I'll make the motion for that. Second by Mrs. Carol Lieb. Questions or comments? We will not be voting on anything after we come out, okay? Except to resume and adjourn. That's it. So all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
And then